Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Mercury retrograde. This transit will be happening from August 23rd to September 15th, and it will be happening in Virgo from 21 degrees Virgo to 8 degrees Virgo. Now we know Mercury retrograde periods are moments of reevaluation, rethinking, redoing, okay? They're moments of perfecting things. And especially because Virgo rules perfectionism, practicality, health. These are the things we'll be focusing on right now. We've been experiencing the Venus retrograde so far, and Venus retrograde in Leo has been us rediscovering new ways of self-expression, letting ourselves shine, not being afraid of the spotlight. Now, with Mercury retrograde happening, it will be a period of refinement. Let's say for people who've been beginning new projects, who've been beginning new things that will make them shine, this will be a period of perfecting, of being able to implement said plans. For instance, artists are the most obvious example because they deal with self-expression. So they'll be, with the Mercury retrograde, it will help them refine that self-expression even better. But this refinement will be happening for everyone, not just artists. It will be refinement in regards to how we approach our health. It will be refinement in terms of how we communicate as well. Now, an interesting thing about this retrograde period is that August, it will be happening around the time of the first quarter moon. And the first quarter moon is usually a period where we are forging ahead, leaving the past behind, facing obstacles and obliterating them. And it means Mercury retrograde will be very important with this situation. It means this re-evaluation, this rethinking we are doing during this time will be important in regard to obliterating obstacles and forging ahead with our plans despite the challenges that we face. Another important thing is that the moon will be in Scorpio as Mercury turns retrograde. And Scorpio is that sign of deep emotions, of transformation, of research, of going into detail and understanding something intrinsically. So this goes well with the Mercury retrograde because it will help people uncover buried traumas, things that have been hidden from them, and secrets. There'll be a very Plutonian energy at this time, an energy that will help with transformation and removal of trauma. Another thing that is important to note is that just as Mercury will be turning retrograde, the Sun will also be entering the sign of Virgo. So there's an added dose of Virgo. There's an added dose of the desire for perfection, the desire for purity, the desire for focus on our health and making sure our health is as good as possible. And this is not just physical health. This is spiritual health, emotional health. It's health for health within and health without. So right now, as well as something important to note, is that as Venus is still retrograde and it's in Leo, and the Sun is the one that rules Leo, it means that the direction of self-expression that Venus is taking at this point, the pleasure seeking, will be oriented now towards Virgo, practicality, health, attention to detail. We'll be experiencing more self-expression in regard to that. We'll be also redefining our self-expression. We will also be more perfectionistic about our self-expression, as I mentioned before. We will also be more picky. When the Sun and Venus were both in Leo, it was just about shining whichever way possible. But now with the energy of Virgo, there will be more considerations to be put forward. Okay, maybe we'll be thinking more long-term, more day-to-day. How can I express myself better from day to day, because Virgo rules that day-to-day energy. How can I express myself in a way that will improve my health in general, because Virgo rules health as well. When Mercury will be forming a lot of aspects, one of them will be a trine to Jupiter. Hence, it's a period where it's going to be easy to learn new concepts or take in new concepts. But remember, since Mercury is retrograde, it may take a while before we really internalize those concepts completely. It may be a time when we want to expose ourselves to new things as much as possible, to new cultures as much as possible, to new groups, and we want to just learn a lot from different areas of study, different areas of life. And also Mercury is forming a trine to Uranus, meaning right now a lot of flashes of insights and intuition will be coming to the fore, breaking from the past, doing things differently, okay? Not being afraid to be eccentric, not being afraid to be unique and different in how you think. Mercury will also be forming an opposition to Neptune. This means we need to really cultivate mental boundaries at this time and not be easily influenced by deceivers, and not easily absorb other people's mental patterns without really processing them. We need to still continue and process the things people say and not just take them in. We need to also be ready to accept our imagination. Neptune rules imagination. So Neptune and Uranus here will be really increasing our intuition in general. Another aspect that has been ongoing that will also be almost exact during this time is Venus square Jupiter. This aspect will happen on the 22nd of August. And Venus square Jupiter has been a main theme, especially during this Venus retrograde period, but also before, a few weeks before that. And this is all about exploring desires and opening our hearts to new experiences and new romances, and allowing our self-worth to grow in different directions. So this shows us that this energy, we are going to be reprocessing some of the things we've done in the past weeks because Mercury is retrograde, and seeing which things gave us the most joy, gave us the most fun. How has our worth been able to develop? How has our value system shifted? And Mars is also trining Uranus, so there's a lot of risk-taking energy, a lot of impulsivity. Be wary of not getting into minor accidents as well, because this energy is really erratic. Also, Mars trine Pluto gives us a lot of energy during this period. We are willing to break the traumas from the past. We need to break previous obstacles and achieve internal and external power in whatever we do. So Venus will be going direct on September 4th. There's a lot going on during this time. Venus goes direct on September 4th. Uranus turns retrograde on 29th August as well. And Jupiter also goes retrograde on the 4th of September, which is important to us because Jupiter has been aspecting many planets, particularly that Venus-Jupiter square has been ongoing for a period of time. So when Jupiter turns retrograde on that day, and it will be before Mercury turns direct on the 15th of September, we'll be re-evaluating how Jupiter rules expansion. We'll be re-evaluating how we've expanded ourselves in regard to love, in regard to romance, in regard to pleasure, in regard to self-worth. So that's going to be very, very important because now we'll see which areas that we expanded in, that we explored, that we should keep, and what we should let go of. Now, on the 30th of August, the moon will be in Pisces. It will be opposing Mercury retrograde. And this is an important time to surrender and let go of mental patterns and communication patterns and ways of doing things that are outdated or that no longer work, because Pisces rules surrender and letting go. Now, after Jupiter turns retrograde on the 4th of September, on the 7th and 8th of September, the Sun will be trining Jupiter, which again allows us to really explore new belief systems, new cultures, have a shift in our higher mind, explore new religions, embrace more pleasures and more opportunities to shine as who we are as well. So it's an amazing period. And the Sun will be trining Uranus, and Venus will be squaring Jupiter on the 15th of September when Mercury goes direct. So that's an important energy because it shows that Our mental patterns that we are changing during this Mercury period, our communication patterns, our ways of doing things, our ways of practicality are in line with the Uranus energy, which is breaking from the past, which is exploring new dimensions, which is aligning with our intuition, which is thinking into the future, and which is embracing eccentricity and embracing uniqueness, are important if we need to really internalize these lessons that the Mercury in Virgo retrograde has brought us, as well as Venus squaring Jupiter on the 15th of September after Venus has gone direct and Jupiter has gone retrograde. Now, after Venus goes direct, of course, we will be processing which areas of pleasure made the most sense to us and which ones we need to cut out, what worked and what didn't. And now with Jupiter retrograde, again, we are reevaluating our belief system in regard to pleasure. We're reevaluating our higher mind and in regard to pleasure. We are reevaluating exploration in regard to pleasure. So we will see which belief systems we should stay more aligned with from then henceforth. Mercury moves out of the shadow period on September 30th as well. When Mercury will be going direct on September 15th, there will be a grand trine between Uranus, Pluto, and the new moon, which is a very softening energy to all the tension that has been ongoing and all the retrograde planets that, you know, the retrograde planets are really, they can bring a lot of heaviness with them because it's about going inward, okay? Jupiter will be retrograde, Uranus will be retrograde, Pluto will still be retrograde, as well as Saturn. So that energy can be very intense. And at least with this trine between Uranus, Pluto, and the new moon, that transformation, which is ruled by Pluto, and breaks and shifts and suddenness and embracing of uniqueness that's ruled by Uranus will be more favored. So at least to release some of that tension within. Something interesting about the new moon that will be happening on the 15th of September is that it will be happening at the same degree that Mercury went retrograde on the 23rd of August. So that's very interesting. It shows we'll be ready for a new restart, okay, in regard to the themes Mercury had been showing us from the 23rd of August to the 15th of September. Because it's quite interesting that as there's a new moon in that same degree where Mercury went retrograde, that will be, it's like us embracing all those lessons in communication, in practicality, in health, in purity, in thinking patterns that we have been taking in over the past weeks. As I mentioned, during this period, when on the 23rd of August, when Mercury will be going retrograde, there will be a fast quarter moon, and it's forming a lot of interesting aspects. It's forming a sextile to Mercury, which favors a lot of ideas coming to the fore. It favors communication of emotions. It will also be square Venus, which can create tension between our needs and our pleasure, our needs and our worth. Also, it's a sextile to Mars, which helps us channel our emotions into action, especially with the moon being in Scorpio. Scorpio rules intense emotions, and if we're able to channel that into action and ambition, that's amazing. And the moon will also be opposing Jupiter, which will create some intense scenarios where it can make people too overly expressive and overwhelming and overly indulgent. But on the other hand, it can make them very optimistic. So moon opposition Uranus will also be creating that situation where people feel unsettled and feel the need to change something, feel the need to break away from something. And they're trying to Neptune will be improving and increasing our imagination and our artistry and our intuition and our spirituality, but also possibly increasing deception and confusion. Okay, so the Mercury, how Mercury retrograde will affect each of the signs. For Aries, Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 6th house of work, efficiency, daily rituals, and health. So those are the areas you'll be reevaluating. How can you improve your health? How can you improve your daily routine? Okay? How can you improve how you work in order to get the most benefits from your everyday life? Okay, with Taurus, Mercury will be going retrograde in your 5th house of creativity, joy, and risk-taking. Meaning, right now, you'll be reevaluating how you've taken risks in the past and how you should take better risks in the future, or what risks worked in the past and how you can use that again. You'll be reevaluating your creativity, maybe coming up with new methods of creativity. Let's say if you're an artist, you'll maybe want to express yourself differently in your art. But creativity exists in all areas of life. So this could be a transit that either makes you doubt your creativity, or it creates a shift where you are ready to embrace new ways of creation and new ways of expression. For Gemini, the Mercury retrograde will be in your 4th house of home, comfort, and safety. Meaning, right now you're looking at what really makes you feel safe, what makes you feel at home, what makes you feel a sense of comfort, and what things don't give you the opposite feeling of that. Maybe you've been operating in ways that have not been making you feel safe, or you've been around people who don't make you feel safe, or you've been doing things in a way that doesn't make you feel safe. But now you are ready to see how to do things that make you feel more comfortable, that make you feel more safe, that give you a sense of family. Being around people give you a sense of family. With Cancer, the Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 3rd house of communication and mental stimulation, siblings and neighbors, short trips, writing. And so right now, this of course will manifest differently because it rules writing and communication and short distance travel. So it could either cause a problem with short distance travels, because remember, when Mercury is retrograde, we often have to do things, and there are often misunderstandings, and we end up having to put more energy into stuff. But it could actually make you a better communicator as you evaluate better ways of communication and see, and if you failed in certain communication and misunderstandings have happened, you can see how to better communicate in future, how to better write things in future, so such that people understand what you are saying. With Leo, this transit will be happening in your 2nd house of assets, value, and self-worth. Hence, it's going to be a time where you assess your assets, and it's a time to be careful before investing in something or acquiring new assets. Really read the documentation and really make sure you've assessed it properly, because you can miss a few details and either acquire a wrong asset or acquire an asset that doesn't benefit you. It could be a time of self-doubt in some people, because Mercury rules reevaluation. You could be reevaluating what makes you worthy. You could be reevaluating why certain things have made you feel unworthy in the past and how you can change that. Remember, with Leo, Venus has been in your 1st house, and that has been ruling your makeover itself. It has been also giving you an increase in self-esteem, or a desire to create a change in your appearance. And now Mercury retrograde in the 2nd house now deals with that really internal self-worth and helps you clear away any of those remaining things that are making you feel unworthy. So now Mercury retrograde is I would say kind of a support for the Venus in Leo at this period, because remember, the Sun is entering Virgo. And it's no longer in Leo when Mercury enters retrograde. So the Sun being in Virgo and still ruling Venus retrograde, which will be in Leo, is like a support for that makeover you're looking for. It's like a support with that approach that new approach you're having towards the world, which is forming better relationships, having more cordial interaction with people, and looking better, having a different way of presenting yourself. With Virgo, Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 1st house of identity, how you want to be seen, how you dress, how you show up. So you'll be looking at what has worked before in terms of your identity, in terms of how you look, how you show up, your dressing, and you'll be looking in ways to improve that. And of course, the Mercury retrograde is a period of trial and error. So you have to try out different things that work in your appearance, different things that work for your identity, etc. So be ready to make mistakes, and improve on them as well. But the good thing is that Mercury is exalted in Virgo, so that kind of makes this retrograde not as difficult as the others because Mercury is in its own sign. With Libra, Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 12th house of surrender, spirituality, also self-sabotage and self-undoing. So with Mercury in the 12th house, you can look at which mental patterns do you need to let go of, which ways of communication do you need to let go of in order to experience more union with the divine, in order to remove self-sabotage from your life, in order to experience more spirituality, in order to experience more empathy, and in order to experience better results when you go into solitude. For Scorpio, the Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 11th house of friends, groups, associations, societies, and clubs. So you'll be looking at your methods of communication in your society, in the societies you belong to, in the clubs you belong to, with the friends that you have, in the extended family you belong to. How do you communicate? How do you communicate to your fans if it's an online following, etc.? So you'll also be looking at which mental patterns you've acquired from your society, from your club, from your friends, and how those are impacting you. Are they impacting you positively or negatively? And how can you change them for the better? How can you change how you communicate? How can you change how you think about the clubs you're in? Maybe there's a certain way you think about them that is limiting. Maybe you can think about them in a different way that will enable you to experience better things with them, to actually enjoy your experience with them better. With Sagittarius, the Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 10th house of career and reputation and how you're perceived by the society. So you'll be looking at your achievements and seeing which ones you really appreciate, and maybe taking the time to see which things you wouldn't want to do again in terms of your reputation, maybe which things ruined it before and which things you don't want to repeat. Or you'll be seeing how society views you and seeing whether you're aligned with their perception of you. You'll be looking at which things to do from now henceforth in society as part of your reputation, which things would serve you better in regard to your reputation if you did them. With Capricorn, Mercury retrograde will be in the 9th house of belief systems, worldviews, long distance travels, and religion. So you'll be reevaluating your higher mind. How does your higher mind help you feel more healthy? Sometimes we have some kinds of belief systems that are not good for who we are as people. They're not good for our personality, they're not good for our health, because they're limiting. Maybe you believe you don't deserve certain things in your life, which limits your happiness. Maybe you believe you're incapable of achieving certain things, which also limits your happiness. So now it's good to reevaluate your beliefs and see which beliefs are worth keeping and which beliefs are worth letting go of. With Aquarius, says the Mercury retrograde will be happening in your 8th house of transformation and shared resources, and it's also the house of trauma and baggage. So it's gonna be a time that the Mercury energy, especially because it's in Virgo and it's very incisive, it gives you a better picture of the traumas you've had, the baggage you've had, and how to release them. It gives you a better picture on how you should transform yourself. It gives you a better picture on how to approach shared resources and investments. But make sure you just read the small print a bit more right now, because Mercury is retrograde. Because if you enter into investments or shared resources, you might make an error, because with Mercury being retrograde, sometimes we don't see the details. So just make sure you read the fine print. With Pisces, the Mercury retrograde will be in your 7th house of relationships. So now you'll be looking at your relationships and seeing what makes them work and what makes them doesn't, and how you can approach them better in future. You'll be looking at how you communicate in your relationships, how you talk in your relationships, how you think about your relationships, and how can you communicate better to your partners, to your friends, to your business partners. How can they communicate better with you? Okay, so So that will favor better communication in future, and of course better relations, better one-to-one relations in future. So guys, that has been my interpretation for the Mercury retrograde. They'll be happening from the 23rd of August to the 15th of September, and I do wish you the best with this transit, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a nice day. Bye.